Om Shanti. Let's first sit for a few minutes in self reflection. In this moment of silence, I take my awareness to the truth, to who I really am. I am a being of light. I see myself as I am. All these years, I stayed in some illusion, believing I am what I am not. Now I know myself. I can see myself. A tiny point of light am I. My seat is behind the eyes of this body. This is my original form. I entered the womb one day as a point of light, and I will leave the body one day as a point of light. Enter another womb similarly. I am just this, a being of light. Become aware of your true form, your true self. As you do so, start to think about what matters, what defines you. My peace, my state of awareness, my state of purity, the loveful essence in me. This is what defines me. I am a being of peace, purity, knowledge, love. This is what matters. This is what defines me. This is the light that makes me come alive. Under no circumstance during the whole day do I let this light go out. I pay attention to the state of my purity, peace, love, and awareness. I do not allow anything or anyone to take it away. This light, this power in me is my self-respect. I protect my self-respect under any circumstance. The light within me renders me credibility, renders me value and respect. I take care to keep the flame of purity, peace, and love going. Just sit in this awareness for some time. Om Shanti. So, yesterday there was this question about self-respect, and I had told you I will talk about it today. So, you see, we use these words self-respect, ego a lot during our conventional usage of language. And when we come to Baba, Baba gives us some understanding of what ego is and what self-respect is. Now, we understood that you will be considered egoistic if you if you insult somebody, right? But you will be considered one with self-respect if you feel insulted. Yes, so mostly, people use it this way, that when you hurt somebody or you insult somebody, you are full of ego. But when you don't go and hurt somebody or insult somebody, but somebody does something and you feel insulted, then you have self-respect. And then sometimes, people will do something that should cause you to, conventionally speaking, so you should feel insulted about it according to them. And then when you don't, they say, don't you have any self-respect? That person has been behaving this way with you and you are still going on with that fellow. So this is something that we generally think is the definition of self-respect and ego in the world. So some people will call out to our ego and some people will call out to our self-respect. But this is not how Baba talks about ego or self-respect. So Baba says that ego and self-respect are two sides of the same coin and both are ego. So if you insult somebody or you feel insulted, both are ego. Now, what is ego? So there is a very simple definition of ego given in Gyan. Ego is when you start identifying yourself with whatever you are not. That is ego. So when you start basing your self-worth on things that you are not, then that gives rise to this illusion called ego. Now, let's take an example. So, let's say that I am basing my self-worth on your opinion of me. So your opinion is your opinion, I am me. Your opinion of me is not me. But if I have based my opinion of myself or my worth on your opinion of me, then I have given you the power to insult me, or I have given you the power to undermine my worth. So you say something and then I feel hurt because I have given you that power. Or if somebody else has given me that power, then I can go and insult them. So these things are because of our conditioning, where we have based our self worth or our value as a being on various external things. So when you base your self worth on external things, so I will tell you, there is a lady and she tells me that her husband is suffering from some physical illness, and because of which his body is trembling, or it's not able to keep still. So then he feels that he feels lack of self-respect to go out and operate with that body. Now, you see, that's a physical condition, so that is not related to my value of myself. So I am worthy even if my body shakes or trembles, or there is some other problem. So if I have some deformity of speech or something or the other, then also I am a soul and I am worthy. But if you base your worth or your identity on something external, maybe somebody's opinion or the state of your relationships, or sometimes if a relationship falls apart, then people will say that, okay, I am a failure. So you are not a failure, you are a soul anyway. You so when you do this, then people will tell you that, oh, you are that person, we were just talking about you, and you feel insulted that, okay, they were probably talking about my failures. So all this happens because you think you are defined by your external state, the state of your body, the state of your relationship, the state of your attainments or acquisitions or achievements, the state of your property, money, status, or the state of people's opinion about you. So if you base your identity on these things, then that is called ego. And the nature of ego is, you will be swinging between superiority complex and inferiority complex always. And you will always try to hurt someone or feel hurt. So these are the tendencies of our ego-based lifestyle. So sometimes, so you will always be in a circumstance where you will either feel there is nobody like me, or you feel I am like nobody here. So I am a nobody, or there is nobody like me. So this will be always one of them. One of these thoughts will always be there because it is based on the external, and the external is amenable to comparison always. So either somebody will be better or worse than you. And then if you feel somebody is lesser in value, you try to hurt them or dominate them. And then when you feel this person is greater in value than me, then you feel dominated by them. So if you do not detach your sense of worth from physical things, so I remember in one of the murlis, Baba said that if you feel that, so if somebody is getting beaten up every day in the house, so if there is a woman, let's say, and she is getting beaten up every day in the house, then she should not feel that I have to continue here because I do not have any financial support. So Baba says that you can go and wash dishes and you can earn for yourself, and then you can lead a life full of dignity. So, but you see, we are all suffering because we feel that somebody in a position has the, so we feel lesser than the person who is dominating us. That is why we have given the power to that person to dominate. So when you give that power to somebody because you feel, I am not working, I do not have the money, so probably I have to compensate by taking the abuse the other person is giving me. But if you could just reinforce that you are equally respectable within yourself, then I don't think the other person will ever be able to do anything to you. So, so it is basically our lack of sense of self worth which puts us in a vibration or creates an auric field around me, in which we give a signal to the people around us that I am a doormat and you can walk all over me and I would not resist it. So, but then it is not because of their ego, it is because of our ego, because we have based our self-worth on external things, and because of that there is a lack of self-worth. And then you say that I am getting hurt or my self respect is getting hurt, but basically it is because there is no lack of self worth, so the other person is getting an indication that they can treat you the way they can, and then your ego is retaliating that I am being treated this way because I have lesser resources. No, you are not being treated that way because of lesser resources. You are being treated that way because of lack of self worth. So if you could just, you, are you getting what I'm saying? Is it clear that it is basically when you feel you are less than or greater than. So, why do you feel you are less than or greater than? Because you are also thinking of your value in terms of a sum total of whatever is external. So, when you are basing your sense of self worth on the external, then you are in a place of less than within yourself. And when you are in that place, then somebody feels greater than, and then they have power over you. Or you feel greater than somebody, and then somebody feels less than you, and then you dominate them. So, this whole game continues because we are all identifying with things that are external. And if I stopped identifying with my external circumstances and came to a place where I understand that I am worthy, I am dignified, and I am God's child, and I am relevant and important. And it doesn't need another person to recognize that. I recognize that come what may. And I do not radiate that vibration where I feel less than or greater than, then people around me will automatically behave themselves. And when your self worth is not based on the external, then you are in a very peaceful and contented and dignified place. And then what other people do doesn't invite a reaction, it invites a very thought after response. And I have seen that people are not people, so when you react you are in lack of power, and then the other person is never treats you right when you react. But when you are in your self honor and you are anchored within, and you know you are worthy, and you respond appropriately, then you can sometimes bring the other person to behave themselves. So I will tell you one thing. So there was this a woman, and she came to me, and then I was very new at that time, and I had just started giving the course. So I did not have much experience myself, and but I used to read God's words, and even without experience, I knew what God says, so I could relate it to other people. So then what happened is, in those days, this lady came to me and she was all black and blue all over the face. And I kept looking at her while giving the course, but I never imagined that she's being beaten up, because I did not know that she could be beaten up. So I just kept looking at her face every day, and I thought probably she fell down somewhere or something happened. And then I just talked about the soul and how you are peaceful and how you are innately pure and blissful and other stuff. And then one day, 3 4 days later, I asked her, what happened to you? Why are you all black and blue over the face? Then she said, so my husband beats me up, and every day he beats me up. So I was a little shocked, and I was young and I didn't know how to respond. So I just kept quiet and I kept listening, and I was really affected at that time because I didn't have much power to not take sorrow. And then she went away. And then after 3 to 4 hours, she called me and she was yelling and crying. And she told me, Didi, now my husband is again beating me up badly, and I don't know what to do. Should I beat him back? What should I do? I don't know what to do. And I'm really feeling a lot of pain. And in that moment, I did not know what to suggest because I had no experience of myself. So I told her, okay, I do not know what you should do, but I can tell you what God says. So God says that you should know that you are worthy and nobody has a right to beat you, and you cultivate that within yourself. So this is what God says. So you cultivate this power within yourself, and you don't have to do anything about the external circumstance. The external will change when you anchor yourself within. This is what God says. I don't know whether it works or not because I have not experimented, but you can try this, and whatever God says is true. So I told her this much, and I kept the phone. And then every day she used to come to the class and take the knowledge, meditate. And then after 1 month or so, I asked her, so what is it now? Do you what are the conditions at home these days? So she told me, Didi, you whatever you said, I did, and it worked. So I said, what worked? So she said, my husband just stopped beating me, and he could never raise any his hand on me because I don't know, something within me shifted, and he, even without my saying, he knew that if he beat me up now there would be consequences. So I never said anything, but that was very evident by my body language and the way I conducted myself, because when I was full of grace and poise and dignity inside, that communicated itself to the other person. So this is one experience I am telling you from that sister, and ever since that time I have had many experiences of this kind. And if you stay in your self honor, that is, you don't think you are less than because, or you deserve this. So I will tell you, you only get whatever you somewhere think you deserve. It looks harsh and bitter, but let me tell you, this is there. So somewhere you have accepted that you deserve this, and only then do you get it. So if you get it in your mind that no, I will, so you just have to prepare this in your mind. You don't have to file a divorce case, or you don't have to tell anything to the other person. You should know yourself that you are dignified and you are in your best state within yourself. And you in order to get that confidence within, fill yourself in meditation with that energy of purity, peace, love, happiness. And when you are in a full state within yourself, that gets conveyed to the person in front of you, and they treat you better also. So you don't have to insult somebody to get respect. You don't have to feel insulted by anybody. If you just stay in your power, then everything falls into place. So let me tell you one more incident. So there was this brother, and he came to me and he just sat across me in the center, and he told me, I feel you people are the most foolish people on earth. So I said, okay, so what makes you say so? So he said that you run these classes, and you try to mend the relationships that people are spoiling for themselves, or you're trying to repair their mental health or spiritual health, which they are spoiling by their own actions. So why should you at all do this? If somebody is doing it for themselves, they should do it, they should repair it for themselves. Why are you doing the cleaning work? So I feel it is very foolish, and I was, if I was in your place, I would never do this. So I said, it's okay. So if you wouldn't do it, you wouldn't do it. I do it, and it's okay. So, and if you think it is foolish, you are welcome to your opinion. And then he started chatting with me, and I did not react to whatever he said. So he started chatting me with me, and at the end, he bowed down very intensely, and then he left, and he said, you are the greatest people on earth. So you see, they come with one opinion, they leave with one opinion. It has got nothing to do with who you are. But if you forget who you are in the process, so if you just take somebody's opinion and make it your opinion of yourself, then that is where the whole problem arises. And if you just stick to your opinion of yourself, if you know who you are, then come what may, whatever the other person says about you, if you don't get disturbed within, or you don't start questioning who am I, then there is no problem at all. But if according to how the other person is behaving or how they are treating you, you are basing your opinion of yourself, then you are in trouble. So God tells us that your self honor is what you think about you, and that is based on your inner state of knowledge, purity, peace, love, happiness, bliss, and power. So you will feel fuller if you give love rather than beg for love. You will feel fuller if you create happiness rather than seek happiness. You will feel fuller if you practice peace in meditation than seek peace from outside. And if you are in this full state, you will be able to stay stable in the face of external things not being okay. And that is when you protect your self honor, not by retaliating or feeling insulted. Okay. How do we get rid of frustration and narazgi for a family member who has been unreasonable and has treated us bad for a long period of time? How can we forgive him? So, you first forgive yourself for allowing that person to treat you bad. So, how could you allow a person to treat you bad? So, you need to forgive yourself for doing that. And what made you stay in a relationship when the person was treating you bad? So, it was your own lack of self worth which made you stay in that relationship. So, if you thought that bad treatment need not be taken from any person, you could have walked out. But why didn't you walk out? Because there was a subtle exchange. So that person was providing you with something. It could be emotional, it could be security, it could be a sense of just being under a roof, it could be anything. But that person was definitely providing something for which you exchanged your you know you exchange this offer that okay, I will be treated bad and I will take it because I am being offered this thing. So first forgive yourself for making that choice, and then now you understand that you do not have to take anything bad from any person. And if you get this right here, then this will be conveyed to the other person. You don't have to do anything on the external to convey it to the other person. So, sometimes you keep shouting at the other person and keep telling him that I will leave you, but they know you will not leave them. So, how do they know? Because they know that this person values this thing over this fair treatment. So, they will choose to stay here even if they are treated badly. These are very subtle signals which lack of self respect gives to the other person. And if you just get it within yourself that I am fine and I will only stay where I am treated with dignity and I am dignified within myself and I don't need anything, I don't need anything external support, I don't need. Sometimes, we say we were responsible for children, but this didn't start after children. This started before there were children, and this started even before anything ever started. But we chose to take all of this because we are preconditioned. So there are so many different conditionings. Sometimes this conditioning that you are a nobody if you walk out of a marriage, or if you walk out of a marriage then you are a divorcee, and then you have no position in the world if you are a divorcee, or only if a man will validate your existence as a woman, then you are a woman, or you are a good for nothing, you are a piece of trash. So all of these things are fed into us, and this is where the lack of self respect comes from. And that, so yesterday only, I when I was going for a walk, I was talking with somebody, and I was just thinking about this. Why do you need 10 people to validate your worth? So, so you are worthy even if nobody talks to you, nobody lives with you, nobody chooses to be with you. You are still worthy. And if somebody says I will not be with you if you don't agree to these terms, and those terms are unreasonable, you don't agree to them, come what may. But there is this conditioning that if you walk out of this relationship, you are nobody, or you have nowhere to go or nothing to do. Why? You don't have two hands or two legs, or you don't have a brain. Why can't you do something for yourself? But this has been fed into us. So we have been made this bichara and bichari and all that stuff by feeding this into us, and then they make us our slave and keep us. So that is not the way we need to live, and we need to get it right that I have come to this planet, I am a whole package, and God has made a provision for me. So it's not like if this person doesn't stay or this thing goes away, I will be nowhere. No, it's not like that. You will always survive, and there will always be something or the other that will come to your rescue if you walk out for the right reasons. So I am not asking anybody to walk out, because the problem is, if I am in self, so the root cause is not them, the root cause is me. So if I am in lack of self respect, and that is why these things are happening, then if I don't build my self respect and I walk out, then I will invite a similar situation elsewhere. Okay, so if I go to my parents will also treat me the same way, just like my husband did, or just like my son is treating me, because it's not about them, it's about me and how I am allowing the other person. So if I don't come to this place of self honor within, then even if I keep shifting places, walking out of one relationship to the other, I will be inviting similar circumstances there. Okay, so this is something that we need to understand, and how to build self honor or how to come to a fuller place is what we are learning here. So, the first step starts from thinking of yourself as a being rather than a thing. So, a thing that has a face and a feature and a body and looks and style and age and money and property and post and labels. I am not that thing. I am this being. And I, the being, am defined by my state of peace, purity, love, happiness, bliss, and power. And when I sit in meditation and pay attention to this being that I am and connect with Shiv Baba and take power from him and fill myself with this sense of being the child of ocean of love, ocean of peace, and build this relationship with the ever powerful almighty God, then I come to this fuller place within, and then I'm able to radiate the right vibration to everybody. So so you see, sister, I will tell you from my experience. So there is nothing about BK sisters. So we wear white clothes. We are always very simply dressed. um, I speak English. Some even don't speak English, or some don't even speak very. So some BK sisters are not very qualified in the sense the world takes to qualification also. But then, how do we attract this respect from everybody? By conducting ourselves gracefully, by not reacting to when another person stoops down, you don't stoop down. When another person plays dirty, you don't start playing dirty along with them. So when you have overcome your sanskars, when you have won over your sanskars of weakness, your sanskars of reaction, your sanskars of, so when somebody is being bad to you, the sanskar of getting hurt, or the sanskar of taking revenge, or the sanskar of retaliating is triggered. But if you have won over their sanskar, so that person behaves badly and you just conduct yourself gracefully, then how long can they conduct themselves badly? So that person will get tired of their own conduct because you are still graceful. So by being yourself, by sticking to being yourself, come what may, is how you change everything around you. So if somebody speaks in a mundane way, you stick to your speaking in a spiritual way. If somebody talks about things that you think they shouldn't be talking about, you don't ask them to stop. You just keep speaking the stuff that you think matters. And this is how you change the conversation. This is how you bring the other person to talk your language. So, and if you start playing along with them, then they win. So it's not about walking out of a relationship, it's about walking out of your preconceived mindset of yourself. So never think you are lesser than anyone. So you are not less than or greater than anyone or anything around you based on external things. You are a very valuable soul. God loves you, and God is your parent. God is your so God has to take care of you, and He loves you. So you don't have to base your self worth on anybody's opinion or acceptance or appreciation or approval. So, but relationship with God has to be built for that. And this is why in these sessions, we are continuously talking about the fact that I am a soul and I belong only and only to God. Okay, so this is the thing. Now there are some comments, so let me take that. So please make it clear that who gets affected by happiness or sorrow. Is it soul or mind? So it is the soul. So the mind is a part of the soul. So you don't say whether the hand got affected or the body got affected. So the hand is a part of the body. So mind is a part of the soul. So mind is an organ of the soul. So the soul has three organs: mind, intellect, and sanskar. So it's not about who got affected. Okay. So see, somebody is sharing that experience also. So very true. I became the biggest receiver when Baba made me a big giver. My Swaman made me very important and special. So it works, you know it from the class also. Okay, if someone is divorced, what one should do to come back together and lead a happy and blissful life? So you should know that you don't need to come back to lead come back together to lead a happy and blissful life. You first come to the place that I am okay wherever and however I am. So there is a reason why you got divorced, and that reason has not got to do anything with the relationship or the person. It's got something to do with you. So there is a very simple law. If you can't live peacefully with yourself, you can't live peacefully with another person. If you can't live peacefully and blissfully with yourself, you can't live peacefully and blissfully with another person. And if you can live peacefully and blissfully with yourself, you can live peacefully and blissfully with anyone. It doesn't matter who that person is. So, sometimes when people say, who should I marry? So I said, if you are marriageable, get married to anybody, it would work. And if you are not marriageable, you get married to anybody and it would be a disaster. So it's not about anybody, it's about you. So you don't have to look at yourself as a part of a relationship to think that I have to be happy or peaceful. No, if you're peaceful and blissful on your own, you can be peaceful and blissful with 50 other people also. So it's about you. So when there is a divorce, it's a very good time. So already the divorce has happened and now you are on your own. So you take out time to come to that place of peace and bliss within yourself. And when you do that, then if it is possible, there is a reconciliation, you go and do that. But first, you must understand that you come to a place of comfort, or you being okay with yourself. Only then go and try to mend the relationship, because ultimately it is you that you will have to live with, and your reactions and your responses to whatever the other person is doing. So now you have to make yourself vulnerable to all the triggers and still be okay. So at least be okay with yourself without the triggers. So when you are in a place of comfort with yourself, you will be in a place of comfort with other people also. So this is how it goes. Okay. Now, today I will talk a little about. Have I made it clear about Swaman? And so Swaman is your self-honor, that you are a soul, you are a child of God, and your state of internal peace, purity, happiness, bliss is what is important. Whatever is external is affecting you because you are empty inside. And we make these desperate choices because we are empty inside. We have been trained to have lack of self-worth. And when we have lack of self-worth, then other people pick on it, and then they behave with us in a manner that they shouldn't. And if you give the right indication, and vibration is a very powerful energy, so you must know that 90% of the communication that you make is non-verbal. So when you meet somebody, how they behave or what they say is only 10% of the personality that is being communicated, and the vibrations they are exuding or their auric field is what gets communicated to you 90%. So that 90% decides how you will be treated, and that 90% doesn't depend on the other person, it depends on you. It is your auric field, it is your energy. So let's take a very simple example. You go to a temple or you see a statue. So a statue of a deity or a goddess, and you see that statue and you know that you have to be respectful. How do you know that? Because of the aura created around it. Okay, so the aura indicates to the other person how they need to behave around you. And if you just keep saying that you can't misbehave, or you don't do this, or you are not allowed, they don't get it. But if you get it right within yourself, they get it ultimately. Okay, so I have seen the tables turn, I have seen relationships change by following this one law. Now, today I wanted to also talk about, yesterday we talked about the soul world, and I told you that we souls live there, and then we come to the stage, and then the population keeps increasing, and that Shiv Baba, God, also stays there, and then he also comes at the end. But what I want you to understand here is that according to popular belief, it is understood that you merge in the Brahma element, right? So you are some particle and you go and merge there, and then you kind of. So God and Brahma are the same according to popular belief, and then God and Brahma are the same, and you become a part of the Brahma or you come out of the Brahma. But no, what God says here is God is one soul, one single soul, indivisible, non multiplicable, one single soul. Each of us is one indivisible, non multiplicable soul. So we are also one souls. And we all live in that world of light. We don't merge into each other, we don't separate from each other. We are all individual. That is why for souls as well as God, you say Ajar, Amar, Avinashi. You, if the soul merged into the Brahma or the soul merged into God, then it would not be Avinashi, because then its identity would perish. So the soul and God are both Ajar, Amar, Avinashi. They are one soul each, and they don't merge into each other, or one soul doesn't multiply into two souls. All those things don't happen. So we all live in that home, that world of light, just like stars live in that sky. We live in that home. We come down, that God also comes down, and then God teaches us how to go back, how to go back to the soul world, how to go back to the new world. But we don't merge into each other, or we are not part of each other. So this is something, okay? Now, does soul world really exist somewhere? Yes, it exists. Or is it just in a, no, it exists, but you access it not in a physical way. So it exists, but it is not a physical world. Okay, so whatever is non-physical also exists. So if I tell you, does love exist? Yes, love exists. Where does it exist? So it is an actual thing, but how do you access it is important. Okay, so it doesn't exist in some place, it exists in a certain dimension where you travel with your consciousness. Okay, so if you want to access love, then you have to feel love worthy. Do you know this? This is another very interesting topic. So, I will tell you, there was this young girl who came to me and she told me that the most handsome boy in the college proposed me, and he's the richest and the most handsome. And then I turned him down. So I said, why? So she said, because I thought probably he will reject me after a few days. So I said, why? How do you know that? So she said, I just know that. I don't know. I felt like he wouldn't stay with me. So I said, so you feel unloveworthy. So that is the thing. So you don't have the confidence that you are lovable. So if you are radiating the vibration, I am not lovable, then how will anybody love you? So, do you know why most people fall out of love with us? Because we are constantly creating this vibration, I am not love worthy, or I want love. So, who wants something? That one who is empty. So, when you don't have love, how can you get love? So, how do you get love? By accessing that consciousness that I am loveful, I am love worthy, I am the most beautiful, I am the most deserving, I am the best. So, that's how you reach that place. So, similarly, when you start feeling that you are a soul, you are a point of light, then you access that soul world. You are completely pure and peaceful, you are absolutely silent, there is no thought, then you reach that soul world. So soul world is a dimension of conscious, the dimension where you reach when you are in soul consciousness. Okay. Okay, fine. So if anyone insults us and we don't react, he or she thinks that we are weak. No, they think equally you are weak when you react. So when you react also, they don't think you are powerful because they insult you again, right? Why do they insult you again if you gave the indication that you are very powerful? So they stop at that time, but they insult you again because they now know which buttons to press to make you miserable. So you don't have to react, you have to be in a very good place within if somebody misbehaves with you. And that place cannot be created artificially. You have to go to that place through meditation. You have to come to that powerful place within yourself so that you are only wasting your time by insulting me. It doesn't bother me a bit, even. Okay, and nobody wastes that time. People are very wary of wastage. So whenever they feel it's being wasted, they don't waste it on you, they find another one to waste it on. Okay, so this is how it goes. Om Shanti, let's meditate. Sit very still and quiet and see yourself as this sparkling flame of purity. I am this shining, blissful, pure light. The light within me is shining through my whole body and creating an auric field that is pure and powerful. See yourself as a being of light, creating an aura of light around yourself. This auric field is my protection. No behavior, no circumstance, nothing of the external world, no negative energy can penetrate me through this auric field. People can do what they want to do. Situations can be the way they want to be. But I am always stable, peaceful, very, very anchored within myself, protected by my auric field. Just sit with these thoughts for some time.